If Oneil Cruz is the future, someone forgot to tell the present. 11 errors in center field, strikeouts like it's his job, and a vibe that screams, I'd rather be anywhere else. Let's talk about it next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Pirates. I'm your host, Gary Morgan, and today we're asking a tough question. Can Oneil Cruz be part of this core moving forward? We'll also look at Roberto Clemente's legacy on his day and close with a breakdown of Ji-Hwan Bae's confusing return to the bigs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Oneil Cruz, let's just say it. Oneil Cruz looks disinterested. He's struggling, sure, but this isn't just like struggling or getting unlucky. He looks disinterested. That's a problem when you're supposed to be a cornerstone. We're stuck with him. Arbitration year one is coming, and the award is going to be low. So yeah, we'll pay it. But what are we paying for? 11 errors in center field. Strikeout rate among the worst in baseball. A cannon arm that's being wasted because he can't or won't field. He can't make the right decisions with the arm. A season arc that has pointed down, not up. And here's the real kicker, like his range metrics should be elite. He's fast, he's long, he's athletic. But he ranks 31st among players who have played center field this year. That's not all on him. I mean, this is a brand new position, right? You expected some bad jumps. You expected some poor route efficiency at the beginning of the year. You expected some routine plays to maybe start to become adventures for a guy that hasn't really had any outfield experience. He's made some improbable catches out there, the kind that make highlight reels. But the routine ones kind of tend to suffer in their stead. It's not how you build trust in the defender. It's just not. There has been an arc to his season with everything, his at-bats, his outfield, his discipline, his engagement. Everything has trended downward instead of upward. And I'm not really sure what to make of it. I do know, like, if he's a DH, that's a waste of an arm. If he's a center fielder, well, right now, it's kind of a waste of a glove. If he's a shortstop again, that's a waste of a season. And if he's just a guy who doesn't care enough to improve, I mean, how the hell do you build a future around that? I mean, we'll bring him back. We have to. But unless he's a different player, I don't think he makes it to arbitration year 2 in Pittsburgh. You can't build a core around a guy who won't build himself. And that's where I think we are with Oneil Cruz. I think we're to the part of the program where it's very much so on him what type of player he is. Don't get me wrong. Pirates are stuck here. They're going to bring him back. You can't afford to move on from the power. They don't have even the potential for it. But I don't know how long of a leash he'll get. This isn't a guy that they've committed a whole ton of money to. And I'm not saying that you can't need trained in certain things at the major league level. Look, changing positions isn't easy for everyone. Not everyone can. But you do that to a guy, you owe him a certain amount of patience for the process. You've given him something very hard to do. You owe him a little bit of patience and grace if it doesn't look that good. This doesn't mean that I think Oneil Cruz is an awful human or anything. I mean, Henry Davis had the same struggle when he got shoved out into the outfield. It's something he's never done. He looked worse, frankly. He too has a cannon for an arm. He too would uncork it every once in a while. He too participated in some plays that were decent. But overall, the body of work is the bad jumps, the poor routes, the inability to field a ground ball, which is shocking because Oneil Cruz comes from that outfield background, and you would think that of everything that could have carried over to his center field play, fielding ground balls would be up there. And yet I've seen 2 errors in the last couple days where he just ran past a ground ball. I'm not going to dig up the tape. I don't need the credit that badly. But I know we did a show not all that long ago where we talked about this very subject and how we couldn't understand how you could have somebody out in center field for a good half a season and not have taught him the proper techniques for how to ground a basic ball up the middle, a basic 1-out single up the middle that comes to the center fielder. There's no willingness to either teach it or learn it. I'm not saying he has to pull the Pony League rules where you go down to a knee to make sure it doesn't get through and go down with 2 hands. And it doesn't have to be that drastic. But you do square up to the ball. You do address it with an element of care that it's not going to squeak through you. You certainly don't charge it with one arm dangling to the ground like you're going to come up firing, especially since you're a guy who never comes up firing. He looks like he's dilly-dallying out there with the ball. And he's played next to Tommy Pham, the baked-in example that they brought in here to teach him how to be professional in the outfield. Watching him uncork throw after throw the second the ball hits his glove, and it hasn't rubbed off. If Cruz is the future needs a new architect. I mean, if he is part of this core, he needs to come back next year looking like a completely different player. A DH with a rocket arm, kind of like a Ferrari parked in a garage. Looks pretty cool, but it doesn't do anything. Range without reliability is just chaos in motion. And I feel like that's what Oneil Cruz is. When there's a ball to the wall, I feel pretty confident he'll get to it. I feel a lot less confident he'll catch it. And if he does catch it, I'm very rarely confident he's going to throw it to the right base. Of all the things that this team has to look at, Tarek Brock has been training the outfielders for the duration of his time here in Pittsburgh. And they have tried a lot of guys out there. And we have seen a lot of guys not do very well. Our best fielders are guys like Ben Gamble and Tommy Pham, who were fully developed and came in from outside and did well on their own. It's not acceptable to allow a premium position like center field to rack up that many errors. Those outfield errors, sometimes they hurt worse than the infield ones because they turn into 2 or 3 bag errors real quick. And center field, yeah, the right field and left fielder should be backing you up. But like when you're talking about like a routine ground ball or a dropped in single that, you know, you got to pick up off the turf. Listen, I'm sorry. In the seventh inning, I'm just not asking veterans to like run behind Oneil Cruz on a play like that every single time without exception, because there's a good chance that he's going to let it roll through his legs. If I've got to have that kind of expectation and effort out of my right and left fielders, then I don't have the right center fielder, is a more likely answer than I need more effort out of the other guys. He's got to come back a different player. He really does. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about the great one. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Money, 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 everybody. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less than 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. I've been playing PrizePicks a little bit lately. It's such a fun way to stay locked in on the season, no matter what's going on, even if you aren't in touch. Sometimes I do it on the NBA just because I feel like it. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Hey, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Drop a like down there. Hit me with a comment, especially about this segment that we're going to talk about today. Roberto Clemente Day. One of my favorite days every single year. I just want to take a moment to kind of honor the man, the myth, the humanitarian, the legend. Clemente wasn't just a great player. He was a great person. We talked a little bit about this last week when we were talking about that history documentary that's coming up. But on Clemente Day, it's a great time to really think about him. Wasn't just a great player, just a terrific person, just by all accounts. His impact on the game, on Puerto Rico, on humanitarian efforts, on the culture of baseball, I mean, it's unmatched. It is. I'm not arguing which one's more important, him or Jackie Robinson. I don't think that's an argument you could win, even if there was a winning side. They're both important. I just think it's time for Roberto Clemente to get what makes sense. I want MLB to retire number 21 across Major League Baseball. This isn't novel. You guys have heard this before. Many of you have pitched for it before. It's overdue. It's the right thing to do. And here's how I want to try to help us do it on this show. Because I wasn't lucky enough to see him play. Like the Clarks once wrote, I was born too late. Okay? I was born too late to illustrate this. So I'm asking you, the fans who did see him, who met him, who felt his impact, who have secondhand stories from your parents or grandparents and their interactions. And I want you to tell me your stories. I want us here at Locked On Pirates to put together a Retire 21 episode in the off season, and I want you guys to help me build it. I want you to tell me your stories. I want you to send me videos, write them out, send pictures, anything. Find me on socials at GaryMO2007 on X. You can also hit me on Locked On Pirates on X, Facebook. Find me, just Gary Morgan. Instagram, Pirates Fan Forum, X. Find me anywhere. You can even email me at GaryMO2007@gmail.com. Or, of course, right here on YouTube. If you guys come through here this off season, I will do a show where it is nothing but our sales pitch to get 21 retired in the league. We'll do our best. We'll lay out our best argument, and you guys will give me the fuel. I can get all the stats. That's not a problem. I don't need your help there. I need the stories that I don't have a possible way of seeing. I need to know about that game on that random Tuesday where he did something special that nobody ever talks about. I need to know about that food distribution trip that wasn't the one that took his life, but was just one that you knew about and it impacted you in some way, shape, or form. That's the stories I'm looking for. The stuff I can't get. The stuff that his teammates are the only ones that might know, or you if you ran into somebody that had a great story. But you were around for it. And I want to hear what you have to say. I don't think that this is something that we should get carried away with in MLB, retiring numbers. And I wouldn't normally pitch for something like this. I'm a Penguins fan, and you know how loath they are to retire numbers. And I've always kind of respected that. It means so much more when you don't overdo it. You know, the Yankees have been around a long time. They've got a ton of retired numbers, and I understand why most of them are retired. But you're getting to the point where you have a hard time assigning numbers. This isn't something that I want to happen for a whole lot of guys, okay? And I do understand how these things can get carried away. And I understand how this in particular always gets seen in the light of, but you don't want to take anything away from Jackie Robinson. And no, I do not. I just want to highlight one other very special player that represents a demographic of baseball that had just as difficult a time early on as African Americans did. And I think Roberto had almost just as much of an impact in that aspect of things. And that's just the game. What he actually did on the field, yeah, you can add all that in too. And that's more of a qualification for why he's a Hall of Famer. But his cultural impact to the game of baseball, the doors he opened up, the things he endured before those doors were fully opened without squeaking, and what he did outside of the game, in all sincerity, it's created, I think it's had a lot to do with the environment we have in sports, where the charity work that the players do, and this is across all leagues, is always spotlighted and highlighted and focused on. And I'm not saying that any of these people aren't good people and wouldn't be doing these great things on their own. But the example that was set by Roberto Clemente and guys like Walter Payton, those types of examples have changed sports and what we expect from sports figures. I mean, imagine just being such a transformative person that your actions lead to a hunger in fan bases to see other players doing good in the communities that they serve. or represent. his number doesn't need to be worn by anyone other than him, except for on this one special day every year. And I would like it to be everyone, just like they do with Jackie Robinson. I would like to take away it needing to be optional or you needing to have some kind of lineage. I want everyone to celebrate him. I want the league to celebrate him. I want the whole country to come together and celebrate him. I want to retire 21. Help me. Send me what you have. I want to hear those great stories. Let's put them all together and let's make the best argument we as a community can make to get this done. I got a nice platform here in Pittsburgh, but I've got a nice national channel here that I can camp onto too, and I'm sure I'll get help if I need it. I'll get Sully involved if I have to. He'll never stop. Let's get this done. Retire 21. It's time. Clemente's legacy lives in the stories of those who saw him. When we come back, we're going to go from talking about the great one to a really confusing one instead. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is the supplement clinically tested that targets the root cause of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And you can feel good about it knowing Nutrafol is an NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Hey, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Ji-Hwan Bae. I'm confused. I just don't know what we're doing here. And it's partially because I had kind of given up on him already. You know, I mean, let's rewind to like 2023. Ji-Hwan Bae showed, I guess, what I felt was enough to maybe earn another look or at least be interesting. He had some speed, some contact, a little bit of versatility. He wasn't a star, but he was a younger player that I felt was like at least showing that he had some building blocks, something to build on, right? Like 2023, he's a 23-year-old. He's up here. His whole season produced a -5 WAR. So it wasn't good. But I'm just in relation to some of the other youngsters that we've seen come up here, right? He had 371 plate appearances that year and scored 54 runs in that time. Only hit 231, struck out too much 92 times, had 24 stolen bases. Nobody's done that but Oneil Cruz since. You know, on base percentage, not good enough, 296. He needs to be better. But there was enough there that I felt like, okay, 17 doubles. I can see it. I can see a little something there. A little bit of a spark plug type player. Maybe there's something that you can kind of get just a MLB freak show type off the bench, or a guy that you can plug in every once in a while to do something that's worth training and working with. The Pirates come back in 2024. They decide, nah. They send him to AAA. 2025, for the most part, still in AAA. He didn't do anything different in AAA than he was doing before. It's the same player, same profile, same limitations. And now he's back up here getting another pseudo chance. I mean, the team told us last year they were done with Bae, right? They didn't play him. They didn't develop him on what he had put on paper in 2023. They didn't talk about him. And now we're just supposed to believe that he's somebody that we need to get a look at again? I mean, I'm ready to move on. A lot of fans are. But mostly because the team already did, or at least they acted like they did. If Bae was out of the plan last year, why is he in any way, shape, or form in it now? Again, when nothing has changed in AAA, he's been fine there. Nothing got developed from what they decided wasn't good enough in 2023 to now. That's 2 full seasons of baseball. I just want to know what they saw in order to think that I needed to see more of him. You know, it's not like I hate the guy. I just want to understand it. I want to understand, like, when you had a lot of the same problems last year filling the outfield, why you wouldn't have made more of a push last year to follow up what he did in 2023 with what you would hope would be a building upon what he had done in 2023. Maybe you try to get him up over 30 stolen bases. Maybe you try to get him up over 20 doubles. Maybe you see if there's any way you can exploit more than the 2 home runs he hit out of him. The thing is, the guy has over 4 seasons now amassed what is essentially a full major league season. It's 510 at bats. That's more than fair for somebody who's even a starter at this point. That would be a starter with a real short-term injury at some point during the season. This is a full MLB season. And in that time, I mean, like, 129 strikeouts, that's just way too much for the type of hitter he is. This is Willie Mays Hayes. You're supposed to be hitting it on the ground or doing push-ups, stealing bases, water bugging around and making a mess on the base paths for other people. Those 17 doubles he had in 2023 are very lonely because right now he only has 2022. That's all he's done in those 4 years, those 4 opportunities. He's only gotten 1 real opportunity. This is just not how you develop players. You're certainly within your rights to say, like, hey, this isn't good enough. We want you to work on this. When you do, we'll bring you back up for another opportunity because that's how this works. You get better at what we want you to work on, then you come back and we do it. And if that relationship doesn't exist, if that belief that better performance is coming goes away, well, then you stop pitter-pattering with the player. Like, you don't go off like just half-cocked cutting guys that you've got 3-4 years of control with. If there's any chance you think they're a serviceable player. But this is a guy that you don't have a plan for. And if you ask me, I think, hearkening back to segment 1, the fear that Oneil Cruz can't handle center field is scaring this team into thinking that they better be damn sure about Ji-Hwan Bae before they cut him loose. He's got another option next year. I don't see it. I see terrible at bats up here. I thought he took some good at bats in the Washington series, but that could have just been a mirage from watching all the horrible at bats I watched in that Washington series. You know, if I'm being honest with you, I'm frustrated by what the Pirates choose to pay attention to and what they don't choose to pay attention to. Is it too early for me to be done with Cam Devaney? I'm kind of getting there, guys. Kind of getting there. You don't get the luxury of being trained at the major league level if you're 29 already. That's not fair, but it's true. This team's got a lot of big decisions to make, and maybe we need to be even more bold than we've been. Maybe, some pieces that we've kind of considered locked on and locked in place, and let's stop trying to put Connor Griffin certain places, though, because I don't think it's fair to say this team's got center field solved. So just because he can play shortstop, don't be shocked if center field is where he winds up making his break into this league. The outfield might very well be a worse hole. At least they've got guys that can man shortstop. Hey, listen, that's all I got for you today on Locked On Pirates. We ranted about Cruz. We honored Clemente the only way we can by asking you to help tell his story. And I questioned Bae's return to the bigs. Subscribe, leave a review, follow me on socials at GaryMO2007 on X and Gmail. Tomorrow, we'll dig into the Pirates' final homestand and what it means for the offseason ahead. Let's go Bucks.